Once again, do you want the real talk or do you want the nice pleasantries? Do you want the fakeness? Once again, I'm going to assume that you want the real talk, so let's go. On screen, I've put up a stat that I have shown many times before in the past, okay? And this is the stat that showcases what different groups, different ethnic groups in the UK achieve when it comes to university. And of course, it shows that black people are more so likely to underachieve. Black people are less likely to get a first-class honours degree. Now, some people, and these are the people who I find to be least logical and least able to think critically, these people would automatically go straight down the route of racism. You know, these results are a result of institutionalized racism that have held black people back in the UK. And so this affects the acuity and the intelligence of black people. So this is the reason for this step. And you know, I won't 100% completely deny that. Of course, there has been a history of systemic racism, institutional racism, and it's been admitted to within various organizations. We can't deny that. It's the truth, okay? But the problem with only falling to that excuse is that it denies something else, something that we all know and see and have felt. But because we rely on the crutch of racism all the time, we ignore it. So in my opinion, the biggest reason why black people have the worst degrees and the worst educational prospects is mostly to do with the home environment. It's mostly to do with the family. Now, first of all, what does it take to achieve well academically? It takes focus and the ability to concentrate, the ability to remain attentive. I'll put up another stat when it comes to lone parents, okay? And once again, this is another category that black people lead. So when you put two and two together, you see that if most of our families are being raised by one parent, then how much attention do these kids, or will these kids get? How much time would this lone parent have to educate their kids outside of school, to check their homework, to ensure that they are reading on time and doing the homework on time, to ensure that they are, you know, bringing in a home tutor? Do they even have the funds to pay a tutor every week to go above and beyond what is, you know, the standard state school progression level? You know, or it could be broken homes. There's a bit of family strife. It could be, I don't know, the typical one is there is conflict between the mother and the father. The father has left and, you know, there is obvious emotional strife. Well, those feelings will also have a negative effect on learning and being focused. You know, a lot of times, you know, these lone parents will get into relationships and bring in step parents. And the step parents don't get along with the kids. These things affect the ability to focus. You know, it's all rooted in the family, in the household. Another one, if you're in a low socio-economic situation, and during the times when you're going to college, you're going to university, but you have to work so you can buy your travel card, so you can buy clothes, so you can buy new books and stuff. You have to work on the weekends. Well, how is that going to affect education in a positive way? You have to work for some crappy company on the weekends, usually in some retail shop, standing for 8 hours, you know? And then you go home, you have to rest. And you want to try and enjoy your weekend. And then Monday comes along and you jump straight back into the whole university college routine. What time do you really have to because remember, this is full-time education. So all of your attention should be spent in being absorbed in the subjects that you are learning. Anything that takes away from that time is going to affect your final result. So you're doing some hobby here and there, and then you're working here and there, and then you come home, you're playing some video games and you're trying to live life like you really should. Well, that's going to affect your final grade. And when it comes to a degree, boy, that degree is going to affect your whole life trajectory. If you fail university, you're going to have a really hard life if you don't figure out what you are good at. If you don't do things like jump into an apprenticeship. If you don't have a degree in this country, as a black person especially, you really, really have to be able to think outside of the box. You know, you really have to be inquisitive, and you really have to be a go-getter to come full circle and to find some success. Because think about it, a lot of black people here, first generation, second generation, we don't really have social ties like that. You know, we don't really have connections like that. You know, many of my old white friends, they had fathers in the trades that would you just follow on naturally. You know, even though their own parents would tell them, yeah, don't waste money going to university. Come join my business. I'll teach you how to run this trade. I'll share my clientele with you. We can run in the family. We don't really have that familial support. So if a degree is, even though a standard degree is like getting your foot into an industry, without it, your your prospects of success in the future is very grim. And even with a second-class degree, your prospects will still be quite grim, because in those fields where they require a high aptitude, a high level of understanding the subject so you can practice it in the real world, obviously people with second degrees are going to be snubbed a little bit. They're looking for people with first degrees and people that come from prestigious universities. So many people I know that have studied in what sounds like great degrees, but they have no jobs, or they've gone into completely different fields. Such a waste of time and money. But again, this is all rooted in the family dynamics. And of course, the individual themselves need to be responsible as well. As young adults at that point, we need to be able to plan and to care about our future, right? And to find time to focus, to sit down and to study, and to put away the PlayStations and to care about our future. But let's be fair and balanced. A young adult won't have that foresight about their future. So it is incumbent on the parents to install that understanding, and it is the parents that have to act and behave in a way that shows the children that this is pretty much life or death, really. But I don't think parents show that to their kids when they don't have time, they don't spend enough time with them. when it comes to education, or they send them out to work because they can't afford for things like travel cards. You know, many parents have not had a savings account for their kids for this point in life. This is the problem. And again, it comes with family planning. How do parents not have a savings account for their kids? I've got a savings account and my kid is only like 5 months old. You know? 5 months old, whatever you put in here and there per month, imagine what it will be in 18 years' time. Even if I had nothing to give to my kids, at least that account will be something. Whenever has your parents just dropped you, hey, look, here is £3,000, man. Go and buy all your books. You don't need to go work part-time. Just focus and make sure you do well in this degree. Whose parents have ever done that for them? So there really is a level of irresponsibility when it comes to the black family, and this is what causes this embarrassing stats. These stats are embarrassing, but it's mostly our fault. Primary school, I was around many Chinese, Vietnamese kids. Every time Saturday, they're doing their own studies, Chinese studies, learning how to write their language. You know, it's probably the same for Indian kids as well. Super smart. But then when it comes to a lot of black kids, you know, we're more engaged with trying to be cool and popular, trendy, music, grime, and all of this. Nike trainers. Like, you know, and all it does is it reflect in our lives in the future. And here we are now at the bottom. And this was due to a lack of delayed gratification, a lack of future planning. You know, some of our parents, man, and this is something that I've heard no one ever want to talk about, but some of our parents, when we take out student loans, some of our parents are asking for a cut. This is something that we don't want to talk about, but we have to talk about if we want to uncover the truth. And if you really care about progression. Because what all of this reveals is that perhaps we've had parents who just simply didn't do a good job. Perhaps they were traumatized themselves from bad parents that didn't show them any love or any attention. Because any parent that has to ask their kids for a cut on their student loan that the kid is going to pay in the future, and we can assume that the parent is not going to help the kid pay off his student loan when it's getting garnished from his salary. Like, that is surely a parent that just doesn't give a damn about the kid. But the problem with the black community is that a lot of the black community suffers from Stockholm syndrome when it comes to things like family and your parents, especially the mothers. Because of this weird type of ancestral worship and guilt trips from parents who apparently, they didn't have a say or they didn't have any support, and they were the victims in their lives. You know, the men, which is the typical story, just got up one day and left them with kids, barefoot and pregnant. And, you know, obviously they did everything right and they were good people and they didn't do anything that caused the relationship to break down. And we buy into these stories without any questions. And so that creates people that never want to question our parents. Never want to question our origins. In many cases, our parents don't even feel obliged to tell us the truth about the past. Usually, it's these fathers that were apparently the bad guys that come to you when you're of age to tell you what really happened. You know, some fathers just, look, your mum was a stupid woman. Your mum did not want to follow through with our family plans. You know, some of our parents really wanted to go back home to their home countries, but it was the women that tasted the freedom of the West and wanted to stay. They didn't want to give up this freedom. They wanted to come here, party it up, work a bare minimum job without any thought process. You don't have to learn or anything. You're not under the strict viewership of your community back home. You can do whatever you want. You can sleep around. You can drink around. You can party up, take drugs. You can be as irresponsible as you want. And this is why being very strict parents is just no good. When you are super strict, like most African parents are, when you are very restrictive, what ends up happening is your kids, once they are able to come out in an environment and they have their freedoms, they're just gonna go crazy. They're just gonna wild out. And before you know it, they're pregnant by some random, and the cycle continues. And this is why I believe Black British people have the worst degrees. They have the worst family structures, bad familial support. And probably more heinous is that some of our parents don't show signs that they give a damn about our future. And this is really the pressing issue at the moment. Because us first generation, second generation Brits, we're trying to understand our place in this society and what our future should look like. But many of us are in impossible situations. We're in between a rock and a hard place because many of us just didn't have a chance. We didn't have a shot. We are living in a situation where we're born, raised, schooled in a country that we can't really identify as our own country. But then our parents probably distance us from our so-called home country with negative connotations, or even in many cases just not taking us back to our home countries. So it's like an absolute lack of plan, lack of future care. And this is the thing that really gets me, because you can't do anything, you can't build anything, you can't go anywhere with people who don't care about their future. And unfortunately, many Africans show signs of not caring about their future. Just happy-go-lucky, worship God, party, and rinse and repeat. No signs of caring about the future, the legacy. And this is why, me personally, I'm so grateful that I had a father that accomplished so much in his life. And he was empathetic enough to create a will for all of us. To the point where his hard work and love and dedication is why I can record this video literally seated at the top flight of the stairs in my home that I bought. But many of us just don't have those type of parents. In fact, some of us might have had parents who expected a cut from the will that came from the other parent. But I guess that's a topic for another video. What do you guys think? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and I'll catch you in the next one.